I want to repeat this for everyone who plays solo queue Pokemon Unite. You win 17% more of the time if you take the first basement Reggie.
Reggie is still standing, however, 0-0 Nation takes it, 17% better chance to win.
Here we go. Do they get their 17% chance? They do, for all you percentage heads out there in the audience.
Hey, I know our numbers, guys, in the back are popping off for that, just like this Dodrio. I am the point lead.
And obviously, the overdunk is not ideal, but what's super ideal is taking this first objective. We all know the numbers, baby.
17% for those of you at home. When 0-0 Nation takes it, looking to win.
They got a 17% better chance of winning once they secure that. That's how good our numbers people are backstage. They know stuff like that, and that's incredible.
You guys heard those numbers. If you take that bottom, Regieleki, your team is likely to win 17% of the time more. You think about our win rate, 17%, that's a big number. That's not 2%, that's not 5%, that's 17%. That is a lot of games just by rotating and making sure your positioning at that first objective is on point. Now let's talk about the contents of this video. The whole point of this video is to share some insights of what you and everyone else watching the World Championship in 2023 would have learned. The main thing to come out from that is rotating to that bottom objective. That is the number one thing you and your friends can do if you're playing that solo queue, if you're playing that duo queue. Thing number one priority, if you want to win more games, forget about your picks, forget about using the best optimal lane or anything like that, even though all that stuff's important. Rotate to that bottom objective, get that experience lead, get that score lead, do good things in that bottom lane, and then you can compound by doing the rest of these things. Thing number one is understanding that pick rate at Pokemon Unite 2023 Worlds. Have a look at how many Pokemon did not even get selected once, and how many Pokemon got literally selected one time. Now, in the Pokemon Unite Championship, you can ban a Pokemon, so this chart is also including a Pokemon getting banned means that it is also getting picked. Have a look at our top two, Inteleon and Umbreon. Insanely good Pokemon, insanely broken, and that is just one thing that I want to point out in this video. Thing number one is look at the selection chart and have a look at your picks. Are you using Pokemon that did not even get selected at Worlds once? If you are, maybe time to reconsider your meta picks. The second thing is have a look at how good Inteleon is in the laning phase, specifically with that Shinichiro. And the third thing is mean look Umbreon. Insanely valuable, insanely good, incredibly good to lane with that Inteleon, and that's what I'm going to talk about as the theme for this video. Bottom laning with two strong picks to win more of your games. Now before I head into some of my own content with the voiceover, let's have a look at this gameplay between Orangutan and 0-0 Nations. In this first game, Orangutan is the team that secures this bottom Regieleki, and let's fast forward to the end game and let's see who wins. So we pedal through and we can see in the blue is Orangutan. They've secured both Regis throughout the game. They're behind on score, but they are ahead on levels, and it's looking pretty good. They're only slightly ahead, but they get that positioning, they engage at that Ray fight, and honestly, this end game is not won because they got that first Regi. This endgame is won because they have got a slight experience lead over the enemies as a result of winning their early game, which is indicative of winning that Regieleki. So rotate down, get that experience, get a lead, stay ahead. Game 1, Orangutan wins the early game, Orangutan wins the late game. Let's have a look at Game 2. Game 2, we've got 0-0 Nations are in the blue here, Orangutan is in the orange. It's a little bit of a tussle, but we can see that 0-0 Nation ends up winning this kind of bit of a skirmish here, which means that they're able to secure this early first bottom Regi. It's a Regi steal. That helps increase your attacks and your special attacks, so that's going to help your team win more fights at the next objective and at the next team fight. If we fast forward to the end game here, Orangutan in the orange, 0-0 Nations in the blue. As you can see, 0-0 Nations have got a slight experience lead. Again, this is due to winning that game early. They absolutely dominate this team fight. They ace the enemy team. They do a phenomenal job, and that's what happens. They win the Regi. Fast forward, they win the game. When we have a look at game number 3, we can see that 00 Nations is in the orange, Orangutan is in the blue. 00 Nations have broken. They go to this bottom Reggie, they secure it, and if we zip along right to the end game here, we can see that a tussle gets underway after 30 seconds. Again, this is game 3. You'd be pretty nervous at Worlds. You don't want to give anything up. But 00 Nations, they're the team in the orange. They're the team who won the first. Reggie, as you can see there, Gardevoir makes a sick play by ejecting over the wall. He gets away from the enemies. There's a skirmish that breaks out here. This is honestly not won by that Reggie. This is probably won by this absolutely sick play from the Gardevoir to get away, come back and do massive damage, catching them with the Unite move, following up and just getting kills. That's probably what won this game, not necessarily the bottom Reggie, but in order for that Gardevoir to be powerful, be in that position at level 13, to have that experience advantage over the enemies, was done by winning that bottom Reggie nice and early to get that experience lead over the enemies. So as you can see, they managed to secure the objective and they win game 3. Every team in this game of best of 3 who won that first bottom Reggie was the team that was successful at all 3 Rayquaza fights. Yes, this is a case where it works out every single time. It's not 100% effective, it's 17% effective, but 17 is a very big number. 17 is a bigger number than 0. So play to your odds, win more games. Let's get into our laning phase that I want to talk about, which is Inteleon with the Shinichiro and Umbreon. Now in this laning phase, you want to make sure that you've got your crit counters ready and you're securing some of this farm, but you want to make sure you've got a crit and water gun ready to get the big contested farm. Your Umbreon wants to be holding an experience share, and as you can see, I'm just timing this water gun so I can get the secure, palming off some of that experience onto that Umbreon, but ultimately getting the farm over the enemy. Now in order to store up these crit counters, you need to be standing near a wall, and then each time you use one of your skills for a auto attack, it will automatically be a critical hit. As you can see, you can get kind of attacked out of it, so when you're near the wall, you need to be untouched in the process. I'm not actually quite sure why I poked the bush with water gun there. It's probably a dumb idea, but as you can see, I'm storing up some of these boosters here, or some of these crit counters, so I can do big damage to the enemy, and that way we're able to pick up the KOs. I can see our Mewtwo comes down, their Pikachu gets taken out of position, and I'm just looking to secure the farm when I can. Because as soon as you hit level 7, boy oh boy is this Pokemon just an absolute menace. Now at level 5, you can learn Acrobatics or Fell Stinger. I'm going to go over the example of Acrobatics. It's kind of like a mini jump kick, if you will. If you've played a Dodrio, what you can do is you can jump onto an enemy, or you can jump onto the wall, and then you can kind of dash in a separate direction. Okay, you can see you can use it for escape, and it'll also give you 2 crit counters on your next auto or on your next skill, which is really, really valuable. It allows you to follow up and do a lot of damage, but also just kind of keep them in store, right? So as you can see, you're going to be able to secure pretty much all of the farm if you've got an Umbreon doing a bit of front lining for you. And ultimately, they've got that experience share, which means that they don't necessarily need to get that experience off you. You can share it, you can be funneled, you can hit your level 4 nice and early. Now as you can see, the Shinichiro helped me stall against the enemies. I was able to get my evolution, and I was able to actually do a lot more damage and stalling to the enemy in that scenario. Generally, you don't want to use that Shinichiro to just delay the inevitable, which is dying. I kind of unfortunately had myself stuck in a position there. Although I don't think an eject button or an X speed would have been much more value to me there, that's probably just a matter of me needing to be better positioned when I'm playing this game, especially when I'm playing this character. Now, one thing that Inteleon can do really, really well is this liquidation will do a lot of damage, especially if you've got that crit counter, because every single tick of this liquidation will be critically striking, which is incredible. And when you use Acrobatics, you will reduce the cooldown of liquidation. Right, now I try and stand near the wall so I can get this crit counter here, and unfortunately we don't get it. Right, I probably should have hit it with an auto because that does more burst damage rather than the liquidation, because I actually got out secured through the stealth rocks, which wasn't necessarily the greatest play. But Inteleon can do one thing really, really well, which is kiting the enemy, and you can jump off the wall. So what I'm doing with this Crustle is he's putting up Rock Tomb. I'm pretty much just using that to bounce, so I bounce around, bounce away, and get away from the enemy, which is really, really solid. So unfortunately, we haven't played this early game perfectly. Myself and my duo partner could have done this a lot better, but this is a really forgiving lane, right? Even though we haven't played it perfectly, we're still in a pretty good position. Yes, we have a Mewtwo, but you know, we didn't necessarily get the success from the Mewtwo, right? One thing that Inteleon does really, really well is that Unite move, right? As you can see, I get a lot of value out of that Shedinja Doll, and the Electro Ball follows me into the bush. If it was any other skill, I would have gotten away, but because it's a sure hit, it follows me, and that Shedinja Doll allowed me to follow up and get an extra kill. So that battle item, absolutely amazing. Especially good if you can coordinate this well with a Hooper, or if you can coordinate this well with one of your supporters to time the Unite moves, right? Whether it's an Eldegoss that can jump on with the Unite move and get a lot of value out of there, right? You can get a lot of good things happening with that Shedinja Doll, so use it wisely when you're playing with your duo partner. As you can see, a lot of the time here, I'm kiting behind my goal zone, and I'm using that acrobatics off that back wall just so I can store up more of those boosteds, stay in the fight, and reduce the cooldown of my liquidation. And I'm wanting to use my skills when I'm critting them, right? That's what I'm ideally looking to do. So we defend this goal zone really, really well. We're able to kite back, we're able to do good things, and our team pretty much wipes them in that bottom lane because of the way that this Pokemon functions. It's just really, really strong, right? Really, really strong. So we're at the second objective, and this is probably where things don't go as well as they could have here. We've got a Garchomp farming, we've got an Umbreon farming. We probably needed both of them down here because they're both really good at the objective. We've lost it to a Solar Beam in the distance, which was just a bit unfortunate. And at this point, honestly, I think I've overcommitted here, right? I'm a little too close. I panic dropped my Shedinja Doll, and I just made a really bad play there, right? We should have disengaged, not to let the enemy get a lot of value, and saved our resources for a different fight. We should have just backed out and given that first tier up. I was committed to the cause because I'd lost the objective. That's that power of commitment coming in there. And honestly, I just didn't play that as well as I could have. I was aware of what was going on the map and did make a great play. Now fast forward to this Rayquaza fight here. You want to go in with a decent level on you, and you want to make sure you've got your skills on cooldown. You want to make sure you've got that Shedinja Doll and that Unite move ready to go, and you are looking to just do damage from the backline. Pop that Unite move when you see the fight being engaged. You want to get the maximum value out of your Unite move, right? You're using your skills to maneuver around. I can see the fights engage. I pop that Unite move, and I'm using my basics a lot of the time. Then I see I've got an opportunity to use that liquidation and that acrobatics to get some kills. We pretty much do a very solid team wipe, and then we've got the grip on the objective to finish off this Rayquaza, and we win the game, right? It's a really, really well-rounded battle from everyone endgame, but what puts us in that situation is to be able to win early with the Inteleon and with the Umbreon. We get that first objective, we do really, really well in that laning phase, and we're picking strong picks based on the meta at Worlds. If you've learnt something new this video, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like, share the video a little bit, maybe even let me know what your new pick is in the comments. Mine is absolutely Inteleon and Umbreon right now. I love them. They're both really strong into Mewtwo as well. They're amazing early in lane. And honestly, it's just a lot of fun, right? You can do a lot of damage, you've got a lot of mobility, and it's just cool because you can use a battle item, which is the Shedinja Doll. Like, the battle item has a high skill cap, right? As you can see, I probably could have used that battle item a little earlier to avoid some of the damage from the Unite move from the Scizor. And Inteleon's Unite move itself is just so much fun to use. You can pop it and you are just launching off boosted basics. You can see that Pikachu got done for 2,600 damage. Absolutely massive crit. Heaps of fun using this Pokemon, and I hope you can have fun using this Pokemon well in lane 2. Good luck on the solo queue grind, everyone, and have a good day.